Good morning, Kalispell. So, this morning we're going to have a really interesting topic, and I hope you guys find that actually really stimulating. So, the title of this video is Get Stimulated to Chill Out. And I'm actually going to jump into that here in a minute. But we wanted to make sure that everyone knows, Dr. Gillen and myself, what we do here with our scans when a person starts care is we actually go in and we measure the function of the nervous system. So what we're doing is checking your nervous system, and we are actually making adjustments, aka removing interference on where it's having an issue. So now let's get into a huge one that I talk about on a daily basis. So this is vagus nerve stimulation, or vagal stim, and how it can help your health symptoms. So before we take a huge dive into what this is, I'm going to tell you about what the vagus nerve is. So it's the longest of our 12 nerves in our head, aka the cranial nerves, and it's associated with controlling our parasympathetic nervous system, which is known as the rest and digest portion of the system, which is in direct opposition to the sympathetic nervous system, which is the stress system, which a lot of people are locked into right now, especially if you look around, and it's known as the fight or flight system. So the vagus nerve has a very important role in regulating a lot of different functions, such as your heart rate, breathing, digestion, your ability to swallow, and your ability to speak. It's also responsible for regulating metabolism, the endocrine system, and the immune system. So let's talk about the pathway of the vagus nerve. It starts out in our brain and extends down through the neck and in the chest into the stomach. During its long journey, and vagus means wanderer, it allows the brain to communicate with a large number of organs. For example, the heart, your glands, the thyroid, and some muscles, your larynx, throughout the body. These organs and glands and muscles send signals through the vagus nerve to the brain, which allows them to tell the brain its current status. Pretty darn cool. For example, so if you eat, your digestive system sends messages through your vagus nerve to tell your brain what it needs to do to properly digest your meal. The brain then sends signals back down through the vagus nerve to make sure all your organs, glands, and muscles are releasing the correct chemicals and effectively moving your food through your digestive tract to ensure proper digestion. So what is vagus nerve stimulation? That's a broad-based term. It can be used to describe any technique that stimulates or activates the vagus nerve. So back in the 1880s, it was shown that manual massage and compression of the carotid artery in the neck could suppress seizures through stimulating the vagus nerve. What we do here, a lot of times we do a transcranial nerve stimulation or transcranial electrical nerve stimulation. Pretty cool stuff. So there's a couple ways you can classify electrical stim of your vagus nerve: invasive and non-invasive. So let me break those down a little bit because there's a ton of research on them. Invasive vagal nerve stimulation involves a surgical procedure where they place an electrical generator in your body and connect it to the vagus nerve through a lead wire. You see a lot of this in people with Parkinson's, helping control tremors. Pretty cool. That is definitely one thing. We ain't qualified to do that, so we stick to the outside, least invasive. So non-invasive vagal nerve stimulation typically refers to light stimulation of the areas of skin which have been shown to stimulate the vagus nerve, aka the ear. And you can also do it on the neck, but we personally stick to the ear. So there's 3 different branches of this nerve that allow you to feel your ear. So it's very common for people that come into Pinnacle Chiropractic to have low-level electrical stim placed on their ear to help stimulate the vagus nerve to help them with their issues. Pretty cool. So the intensity of this stimulation should be enough to where you can feel it, but never enough to cause you any sort of pain or discomfort. Pretty neat. So how can vagus nerve stimulation help your symptoms? So vagal nerve stimulation has been suggested to be beneficial for a wide range of health conditions. You ready for this list? Brain injuries and concussions, chronic pain, headaches, anxiety, depression, inflammatory conditions, tinnitus, heart failure, neurodegenerative disorders such as Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, epilepsy, bipolar disorder, and obesity. But how can one therapy help with multiple different conditions? Well, let's break into that. Earlier, I talked about this a little. Vagal nerve stimulation has been proven to reduce sympathetic nerve activity, and the increased activity of your sympathetic nervous system, also known as your stress system or fight or flight system, is associated with the following problems: elevated blood pressure, impaired cognitive function and memory, impaired blood sugar levels and insulin resistance, increased inflammation, impaired thyroid function, decreased bone density and muscle mass, disrupted sleep. So, thereby reducing that sympathetic activity, vagus nerve stimulation offers a wide range of benefits for your health. Pretty cool how it ties in. Vagus nerve stimulation has been shown to have a huge anti-inflammatory effect. It's a major component of what's known as our neuroendocrine immune axis, which is involved in coordinating our brains, our endocrine system, and our immune system to help defend our body against infections and inflammation. Pretty cool, because we have a wicked bad infection going around right now. The vagus nerve's also involved with returning our body back to balance. So when you do not have an infection, your immune system calms back down and does not continue to fight. Pretty neat. Many of our patients that we see come in have issues with their immune system, with it being hyperactive or overactive, such as autoimmunity. Therefore, by reducing the inflammation and helping them rebalance their immune system, many of these people experience a reduction in their symptoms, improvement of quality of life, and an increase in their healing and recovery, or decrease in healing time. Now we're going to get into some deeper stuff here. So vagus nerve stimulation has been shown to help release a chemical, and it's called brain-derived neurotrophic factor. It helps our brains regrow new cells and new connections. Pretty neat. Increased levels of this chemical are associated with learning, memory, and higher thinking. Many disorders are associated with a decrease in this chemical, which causes problems making new brain cells and new connections. When the levels of the chemical return to normal, many of our patients find it easier to concentrate and remember different things, like, "Ooh, the fog's gone." It's an important therapy for a lot of our patients suffering from brain fog and memory problems. Pretty neat there. So, there's also some great information on vagus nerve stimulation and the barriers. So, stimulating the vagus nerve has been shown to improve the barrier systems, such as the blood-brain barrier, the gut barrier, and the lung barrier. So we have barriers all over our bodies, which allow certain chemicals to pass and certain ones not to pass. So if you can think of it like as border control, but within your body. Someone who doesn't have the appropriate paperwork doesn't get through. Same type of thing here. So, pretty neat, wicked awesome information there. And I hope you guys watched this. You enjoyed it. If you have any questions or comments, feel free, shoot them over to us in a message, and we will do our best to get back to you as soon as we can. Have a great day, P.L.L.C.